we're going to go ahead and throw this over to the draft. Hitting the ban board already, it's going to be Darius and Syndra taking off the board for Big Bird's Club. And then the Urgot, the first ban over there for Big Bird's Club. What I'm very interested to see, and I make this comment all the time, is the drafting adaptations that the players, individual players, what they want to see in a game. But then I think also the different team philosophies and how they want to put team comps together. You know, it's always fun to see the differences in like teams that prioritize team fighting and like CC synergy versus teams that really prioritize like individual capability, lots of playmaking, lots of damage. And then sometimes you have a team that like is really strategically minded and they want to combine the best of both those worlds. But obviously it comes down to just what you prioritize individual champion wise and what your overall desire is as far as the game. And I think one of the most important things is, you know, trying to make sure that you get something that fits for your team, regardless of whatever that looks like. And so interested to see how both teams will kind of approach that. Excuse me, I have hiccups. Let me check this message here real quick. Okay, so Big Bird Club did win the coin toss, and they chose red. So that means that, Silvermanes will have choice of side selection for this next game. As Sivir, oh my goodness, sorry, hiccups. As Sivir and Dr. Mundo going to be the first two selections there for Big Bird Club. Dr. Mundo likely just going to be slotting into that jungle role. We've seen his presence in that jungle really kind of explode as a play rate. Makes sense. Just having natural immunity to CC prevents him from being stopped in ganks, and then also just makes him a very effective like jungler trader. We don't see junglers fighting too much anymore due to the changes that Riot has made to the game, so a lot less invades, a lot less skirmishes and stuff like that, unless it's actually around neutral objectives with other team members. So a lot less like 1v1 style, but that possibility is still there for Dr. Mundo. And as the game goes on, he becomes a fairly effective trader, not only because of his health pool and his ability to deny CC, but then also just the fact that he's just obnoxious with his slows. Cleaver is a really good ability being able to run people down. So interested to see how they'll leverage that capability in ganks. He's not necessarily the greatest ganker because, you know, he doesn't really have very many movement tools to get him through to places, but also like it does still have the ability just to team fight. So, and then Silvermanes, they are categorizing into what I would categorize as a pretty safe combo. Caitlyn Karma in that bot lane is going to give them a tremendous amount of poke. It is going to be quite a bit more effective than Sivir Melio, I think, just because of the inherentness of like, you know, Karma empowered Qs, doing a lot of splash damage and being an AoE zone tool. And then Caitlyn, just the longest range ADC, being able to poke from much farther range than headshot is an incredible ability to chuck at other ADCs. So yeah, I fully expect Silvermanes to have priority in that bot side, given the safety and just the damage and the range that they have. But Big Bird Club, they do have a tremendous amount of like defensive safety in it. Like Melio is going to be able to keep the Sivir healthy. Sivir has spell shield to be able to just to deny any sort of major slowing or stunning abilities. So she has the ability to kind of get out of things. And then later on, especially, we've all heard the myth of, the 500 CS Sivir that in the late game is going to be very, very difficult to deal with. Caitlyn is a great scaling match for that in sort of that 1v1 matchup. But in a team fighting, I think Sivir's probably going to be a little bit more useful just because of her ultimate. And then the fact that Melio can kind of AoE heal people as well is going to be very useful. The next final band, it's going to be Victor and Kinnan taken away from Silvermanes and Mordekaiser. They're trying to pinch that top pool further. The fact that they're banning out a couple more top laners, for me, signals that they firmly believe that Dr. Moon is not going to go top, and that their read is that it will, in fact, go jungle. It's interesting to note that the Big Birds still could flex that top lane if they wanted to, if they see maybe a favorable matchup for that Mundo in that potential, in that lane, but it's, I think, still not likely just because of like how he's struggles a little bit in some of the trades early lane. But teams have a habit of surprising you sometimes, and they want to get a little bit of flexibility. As Renekton going to be the hover from Big Bird's Club, I like that potentially. Renekton's just one of the staple top lane champions. Like, has a lot of stability, has a lot of outplay potential, is great in a 1v1, is fantastic in a team fight. Dominus is a very scary ability to threaten the enemy team with. And so I think just an overall safe hands pick, especially if you have the hands for it too. Like, it can be a little bit intimidating if you're not entirely familiar with that champion, either playing as it or against it. So it introduces some level of stress and some level of mistake-making possibility. So interested to see what Silvermanes will want to respond to that. They could have the counter pick right here, and they will just go with the Shen. I like that. More defensive layering, especially to protect the Caitlyn. If there's any potential dive, which they could do with the Sivir, having her ultimate layered on top of Renekton, who has the ability to slice and dice, and then Mundo just generally providing frontline, they can get on top of any of these crucial targets. The one thing I would like to see is them pick up a mid laner that does a tremendous amount of, like, either magic or AD damage, which sounds kind of fairly open-ended, but hear me out. Like, you want to index very heavily into one or the other at this point because you are missing some of that damage. And, yeah, the Vigard going to be a great pickup there. Excellent scaling champion, gives them even more late game threat, tremendous amount of zone control. I love that pickup, and they've got safety for it. Like, they have Volibear and Shin to protect it, Karma pervasively providing shielding. So yeah, I fully agree with the Vigard pickup, and we're starting to see a lot more of them just throughout a lot of these other different rec leagues. And he's definitely an easy champion to play, easy to pilot, easy to execute on. What will the response be from Big Bird Club? Piece of like an Orianna, Rai, Syndra. Oh, they're going to go with the Zerath, though. They're going to match Barrage with Barrage. They want to fully index into the team fighting capability and just Wombo combo ability of it. Alrighty, everybody. We are on to the Rift for the first game of the TLS Bonanza tournament. The first ever tournament for the TLS in general. And also, I think, just an exciting opportunity for a lot of these teams to display their skill, display their team fighting prowess, as it were, and start to get themselves known, because I think the goal from everybody has been to be excited about getting the TLS going in a regular season format and building this thing out, and I think this would be a great way to do it. And so very excited to be part of this, very excited to cast these games to see how well these guys do. And regardless of what happens, you know, the results-wise, I think all these teams are going to have a lot to be proud of by the end of the day. I think we're going to see these guys give absolutely everything they have, and that's going to make for some, I think, some very, very exciting games. Speaking of getting excited about stuff, Polaris trying to trade on this top side. Ooh, forces out the flash from Renekton. Alright, so I have been turned into a liar within just a minute and 25 seconds of this game. As Renekton immediately losing out of those trades. Did have the Ignite and chose not to use it, but also Polaris did not use his Ignite as well. So interesting to see how that's going to play out now that that is effectively a null and void state of the lane. Around. Sorry, folks, dealing with some back-end stuff, just making sure that everything is working on the stream. Alrighty. Well, everybody, we are glad to have you with us and hope that you are excited to also watch these games. And cheer on your players, cheer on the teams as they go. Even if you don't know anything about them, it's always fun to see people just pick a side and have fun cheering for one team or another. Early on, both junglers not really doing a whole lot right now. This is, I think, kind of the standard operating procedure for most junglers now. There's not really that much invading and early fighting. It's kind of that emphasis on just trying to get the level 6 as quickly as possible. Damage was doing tremendous amount of damage. Polaris gets ignited. Will this be first blood? No. As the Spirit's Refuge comes down, it prevents him from taking any further damage, but that was a bit of a trade of health bars there. Polaris got the best of Inbred in that initial trade, and Inbred just returning the favor. With these junglers, they're going to continue to try and path around and get to level 6 as quickly as possible. Mundo is there first on the Scuttle Crab. He is pinged, so they see him on vision. So Silvermanes will know that the Mundo is in the area and will be able to just play around him, sort of hovering towards that top side. Inbred shouldn't really be in too much danger. Flash forward from CFIL. Not going to mount anything there. Those Lucid manages to walk his way out of there. Flash blown, though, for the Zerath, which means a potential ganking opportunity for Volibear later, and that's going to be important because Lucid did also have to blow his flash, so in terms of trying to set up the Volibear for that play, it could be a little bit more difficult, as Silvermanes, they want to protect the Scuttle Crab, they don't want the second one to go down, so Insensate is going to go ahead and grab his Scuttle Crab, walk away with a little bit of Crabber Bucks. And again, just a lot of early posturing from both these teams, so kind of what I expected, especially with like the team fight capability for both these teams. They'll start to come online a little bit later as Lucid dropping extremely low in that mid lane. Every time CFIL hits him with any ability, he's getting a little bit of passive cash. As he's going to be walked out of this lane, Insensate. Will he be able to run him down? Yep, this is just going to be Insensate going to be first blood here. Wants to try and see if he can trade for Lucid, but doesn't have any amount of mana. He's fully tracked. Polaris is going to come over the top. Doesn't even need to blow his flash yet. He's going to get ignited. Stunned, and Insensate will be the first one to pick up a kill. First blood to the Silvermanes. Gonna be hard done to feel pressed by that. That was not what I wanted to say. I was going to say he's going to be hard pressed to feel hard done by that as Save the Fishes. Wants to trade a little bit. And CFIL, he's going to go ahead and burn that teleport towards the mid lane. we'll just try to continue to shove waves underneath the tower. No CS lead really to speak of, kind of in the mid, jungle, or bot. However, that top side, CS deficit's going to start to grow. This is kind of what we expect out of Inbred on that Renekton. He has the ability to just permanently shove the waves, does a tremendous amount of damage, gets taunted underneath the turret, goes a little bit low. Spirit's Refuge buying, denies some of that damage. Ignite could even things out if he had it, but doesn't have access to that summoner ability. Will just go ahead and walk it on out. Pops the last of his pots, and we'll have to likely kind of stay underneath the turret here. They do have vision, or sorry, yeah, they do not have vision on where Instance it is at, so they don't necessarily know where that Volibear was hanging around. Ping's coming down bot side. Potential play, full summoners available for the bot side of the Big Bird Club. That's going to be the stun and flash out, rooted underneath the turret. They're going to lose their health bars, won't be trading for too much faster. Inbred manages to slay Polaris on the top side. It was a flash trade there as Polaris tried to get away, but wasn't able to do it. Inbred going to pick up his first kill and put PVC on the board. That early trading power from Renekton, again, not to harp on this too much, but that's exactly what we were expecting to see. Just, Renekton is such a difficult champion to trade into because of the ability to reset Slice and Dice so often, and because he does get some of that passive healing off of it. And then also, just like in the 1v1 skirmishing, his damage is fantastic. So he's one of those champions that you really have to know the ins and outs of how to play against him, as Dr. Mundo here on this top side is just going to continue to farm up. No disrespect to him. The graphic UI does not necessarily show some champions sometimes in terms of their name on the right side, but Save the Fishes will instead just walk out of there after getting his hard-earned loot. I say hard-earned, it's ill-gotten gains. You know, he walked in there and stole the frog, wasn't his, so a bit of a Frenchman himself. Here in the next few minutes, I want to see the junglers potentially get involved in this top side. I think that there's a tremendous amount of outplay potential to make up there if either of these guys get involved, and especially if you can get the Renekton super far ahead and make even more use of his lead. He's got that Conquer Star, has the Dominus. Standing Nina won't really help Polaris, except maybe to get the hell out of dodge and go to a different lane, so we'll be forced to just sit underneath the turret, but that ultimate, is going to be used by Inbred, so he won't have access to it here for the next couple minutes. So we'll instead just choose to push out this lane and shove that wave underneath turret. But the junglers, I think, getting involved in that top side would really help. I think if Insensate could come up there and try and bail Polaris out of what is right now potentially bad matchup as Vigard teleporting. They're just trying to protect their jungle creeps wherever possible and trying to protect them from getting stolen, which is a little bit difficult right now, all things considered, just because of how much pressure the Big Bird Club do have. Not much of a gold lead to talk about right now. It's just one turret plate a piece for each of the teams, but that will start to trade as this pressure gets spread across the bot side and really across the map. And that was the thing I wanted to highlight just a second ago, was the fact that if the junglers get involved in that top side, and if you can free out Inbred to move across the map even more and get involved in some of these early team fights, especially the fact that he already has this Caulfield Warhammer, has the pickaxe, is in a fairly strong spot right now, even with just the components, you'll open up a lot more possibilities. And so I think Big Bird Club will probably recognize that here soon, especially as we get ready for the grubs to spawn, the grubbies in the top side. The free prize for whoever wants to take them. BBC already got their first dragon, is that Infernal Dragon. Interesting to see what the soul will be. Some souls, I think, are worth fighting more than others, but after having talked to all the teams and the junglers, Sunny's going to get rooted up, a lot of damage, but he is passively healing. Thank Bengu. Losing a bit of his own health bar there, and we'll be forced to just back up a little bit, but it is Silvermane's first to level 6 there in that bot side. Or no, so they weren't first to level 6. Sunny Waffle and Chicken Thuggy got level 6, so they all got it at the same time, so I missed all that. And speaking of things that'll be fun, as something I was talking about earlier, we do have replay functionality today on the stream, so it'll be fun to kind of play with that. Speaking of replay, we might need to replay this one. Save the Fishes, flash forward, is going to be immune to CC, is starting to loose it down. Meanwhile, towards this top side, Inbred loser, he's just going to go ahead and kill the Volibear in that straight up 1v1, and save the Fishes. Again, continuing to push more of the Silvermane members underneath the turret. They are posturing towards that bot side. All 3 of the grubs were picked up by the Volibears, so no objective to pick up there, but they will just steal away some of these jungle camps. Polaris going to be arriving just in time to see that go down and has to diggity dash over the wall. And speaking of replay, let's see how that replay tanned out. Interesting. That isn't working for some reason now. We'll come back to that in a minute. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Okay. All right. Well, I thought it was working, and apparently it's not now, so we will get that one figured out. I have been turned into a liar. Let's just see. We're going to play that again. I just want to see why that didn't work, because we have a little bit of a lull. Oh, I know why it didn't work. Haha! I didn't turn on replay buffer. That would be why. I am a genius. Broadcasting woes. I thought I was good, and I wasn't. Alright, well, speaking of being good, as I get my act together here in just a second, trying to get this whole thing figured out. Alright. Taking stock. So, Big Bird Club with a little bit of a lead right now. It's just about 1,000 gold, so it's not anything to write home about yet. And their Silvermane's even going to be able to put pressure down towards this bot side. Here comes Insensate. He's going to get underneath the turret, turn that one off. Sunny Waffle going to be the first to drop. Dark Pengu wants to just preserve a little bit of the health bar. The turret has been turned back on. Chicken Thuggy, really for as long as he can. And now Save the Fishes is here. Gets the kill on top of the Volibear. Flash out from Chicken Thuggy. And CFIL has also joined the fight. Gets stunned by Vigard, though. Great cage placement. And in the end, it just turns out for a 1-for-2 on a pick that Silvermane's, or a fight that Silvermane's picked. Ends up not going in their favor, and they actually lose out a little bit more. Yes, they get some of those turret plates, and they manage to get some of the summoners out from Chicken Thuggy, but ultimately they kind of lose out on the kill there. So not what you would have wanted. You would have liked that to have been a little bit more clean. And since it did a really good job in turning off the tournament and prioritizing the right targets in that fight and making sure that they got on top of Sunny Waffle, but then obviously after that turret was over, they really should have called it off. And he was in the wrong position, came out on that brush at the wrong time. And so ended up having to pay for that. And yeah, that's how it breaks sometimes. You have a well-designed play, or you think something a well-designed play, and it just doesn't go your way. These teams not being too passive in this game, being fairly proactive and trying to make plays across the map. And the top side, we've seen quite a bit of fighting, and the bot side as well. Dragon's going to be spawning in 38 seconds, so interested to see what these teams will do to try and get a little bit of priority. And since it needs to be careful here, trying to walk out of this, Save the Fishes is here. This is a 2v2 that they don't win. It's a massive level advantage. Dr. Mundo, level 9 to Insensite's level 7. That is a tremendous amount of power. And then obviously Inbred just has that level advantage by dint of not only the kills, but then also the CS differential. So it's almost a 30 CS difference there in that top side. And that matters a lot, especially now that he's already got his first item. And we'll start to apply that pressure across the map. It becomes way more difficult to deal with the Renekton the further ahead he is. And in the team fights as well, like, if they can continue to maintain that lead and put him in a side lane that gives them extra threat, they can threaten other objectives, they can threaten to knock down towers, and really, you're going to need two people to respond to Renekton, especially as it gets more tanky. So, Silvermane, they'll have their work cut out for that one. Sunny Waffle underneath the turret, starting to go a little bit low, but has some passive healing, just stays underneath it. And Inbred just going to start to proxy farm this wave, knows the position of the enemy jungler, so isn't worried about getting ganked at this particular moment. They have pretty good vision on the majority of the members of Silvermane, so he knows he's safe. Not in any danger. No one's going to try and run up there and turn him into a pair of crocodile shoes. Big Bird Club, they're going to look to go ahead and start this next dragon. This should just be theirs. There's really no chance for contest. For Silvermanes right now, they're not in a position to do it. And since it just needs to focus on farming, once it gets his levels up, they may try and poke and harass her a little bit, but realistically, they can't expect to take this one away, because they are going to pick up that Hex-type dragon. And the next dragon, it is going to be Ocean, so we will have an Ocean Soul, which is a very, very good dragon for just about any team. I don't think there's any team composition that doesn't like an Ocean Soul. And definitely, the Big Bird Club would like to go ahead and get that one. They are going to collect their first turret, though, will Silvermanes. And no response across the map yet, so they will be happy. That was kind of what we were highlighting, Dimps and Dank Pengu. Dark Pengu? I'm changing your name to Dark Pengu now. Oh, Polaris. Flash forward, stun, slice, dice. The passive damage, and Bread is forced to stay underneath the turret to get it, but will, in the end, and sense it. Now, this is a 3-level difference. It may look like the Volibear wins this fight, but he doesn't necessarily miss the stun, trying to land the smite to get the slow, but doesn't come away with anything. And since it walks out like a baller, says, I killed your top laner underneath your turret, and I walked out. I robbed the bank and got away with it. What are you going to do about it? It seems like the answer is nothing. And to add insult to injury, and since that he's getting invaded in his own jungle right now, Dimps is here, though. It's a 3v2. Save the Fishes and Chicken Thuggy want to walk the way out of this one. Need to be mindful of the pathing. Xerath has joined the fight, though. Teleport coming out from Inbred Loser. This could be a fantastic fight for them if they want to get something else going, but it will just be a retreat for the side of the Silvermanes. Forced out of their own jungle. Save the Fishes came away with the blue buff, and the passive part of that's going to be picked up by CFIL. And yeah, Silvermanes, despite getting that turn to the bot side, that cash really hasn't manifested itself yet, and they're getting pushed out of their own side of the map right now. Is this Rift Herald is going to spawn now? This is available for Inbred Loser and company to pick up. Dr. Mundo to make his way over there. Silverfishes, Sunny Waffle is going to get deleted by Lusa. Not sure why he was down there by himself. Should have been backed off just a little bit farther. Inbred taking turret shots. You don't want to do that for too long, my friend. Even as an alligator, that does start to hurt. You've got quite a bit of spiny armor, but not against a ramping turret. But right now, he's kind of free to do what he wants. Like, Polaris is just kind of stuck on the back end of this fight. Really can't go anywhere, trapped underneath the turret. They know where Volibear is. And Senseit trying to find something back in return for losing his topside camps, but may have been caught out here. Dr. Mundo, as Say the Fish, is looking to cut him off. He's going to flash. Oh, Blast Cone's the opposite direction. Oh, you hate to see it. They wanted to try and cut him off. But Lucid was there to cover in Senseit's retreat. And fantastic passive play. A great job by them. You know, got greedy. Oh, he's going to get stopped here. Pengo forced to speed up with the empowered E. Hey, get the hell out of dodge. Yes. What does chat think? Dr. Mundo now has 3 jungle sides. He does, in fact, have 3 jungle sides. There's really nothing that anybody can do about it, unfortunately. Dr. Mundo does, in fact, go where he pleases. And as with a 30 CS differential there, and the fact that he has that heart still completed, he's going to be feeling pretty good about it. And now at this point, Dr. Mundo kind of just wants to start getting in fights. Like, Save the Fishes is really like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, let's fight for all these neutral objectives. The more you hit me, the more stacks I get, and the harder it is going to be to kill me. And really, I think most importantly, kind of to highlight, like, if Dr. Mundo can get, like, if, sorry, Save the Fishes. I keep calling by his name because I keep looking at the right side panel. Save the Fishes can get some sort of, like, passive magic resistance, like with a Kionic Root Rune or something like that. He's going to be pretty free to kind of play the game however he wants to, and Senseit, though, may have been caught out, is forced to use the ultimate to get over, trying to get a little bit of distance. Save the Fishes running him down, though. Caitlin's going to be stunned here over the wall. That's not what you wanted. Dimps going to be forced to try 90 caliber net away, but will be going down. CFIL Graves that one. Dimps is the next victim for the Big Bird Club. They're pecking away. Sunny Waffle forced to blow the ultimate, trying to get away. Teleport coming out now. Use the shield to get passively away from the cage and will not be under any danger now. And Senseit may have caught himself on the wrong side of that one. And while we got a little bit of lull, as the Big Bird Club's going to go and take that hero, we're going to see this replay. He's going to be pretty free to kind of play the game however he wants to. A little bit of vision, though. May have been caught out, is forced to use the ultimate to get over, but isn't trying to get a little bit of distance. The Fish is running him down, though. But that draws. Caitlin's going to be stunned here over the wall. That's not what you wanted. Dimps going to be forced to try 90 caliber net away, but will be going down. CFIL Braves, that one. Dimps is the next victim. And now we're going to have to go to the draft, though. I say draft, we have to get back into the game. Somebody has just died as we were in the middle of that replay. Sorry, guys, this system is a little finicky, so just bear with me. It's a little bit fun to work with, I think is the best way to say that. This is innovation. Indeed, it is innovation. This is what we love to see. So I'm not sure who it was that went down. I guess it was CFIL, I guess, when they went to try and take that Herald. I guess somebody ended up getting caught out for it. But it does look like Save the Fishes was able to walk away with it, so it looked like it was just a trade of life for Herald. And honestly, for Big Bird Club, like, that's worth it. Yeah, you give over a little bit of kill gold, but it's not the worst. Like, you're going to get that back in Herald. Herald gold absolutely, like, right away as soon as you get ready to place that. They've already got topside turret down, add mid turret. They can look to play this bot lane, especially in the next 2 seconds. The Ocean Dragon is spawned. And now if you're Silvermanes, you have to look to potentially fight this whether or not you want to, because you do not want to give Ocean Soul for free. But Big Bird Club, they're first on the objective. What do Silvermanes want to do? They're really being pushed out. Yeah, this may just be Dragon Point starting to go over into the Big Bird Club. They're going to drag this dragon even further out. Well, drag the dragon. To make sure that it can't be stolen, they're going to spite it away. And now that gives Big Bird Club an even further avenue for pressure, because now, for Silvermanes, unless they're just absolutely willing to concede that objective, they're going to be put in a position where they're going to have to fight for it, as Save the Fishes just trying to see who he can run down there. Nothing yet to fight for, though. Baron not yet spawned. It'll be another 50 seconds before that. So for this next minute or so, it's going to be fairly defensive posturing, I think, from Silvermane. They just want to try and stop the bleeding as much as possible. Trying to get Dimps onto his third item wherever possible. Lucid, again, they're trying to get him on his third item. They want to wait for Insensa to try and catch up a little bit. Is trying to eat into that gap a little bit, but it is still a level disadvantage for him. Inbred Loser also still has the level advantage of a Polaris, and that matters in some of these fights. Like, you wouldn't think that even just one level difference can do a whole lot in a team fight, but an extra, access to extra stun length or extra damage or cooldowns, anything like that makes a huge difference in potentially a long team fight. And especially as these teams start to come online with their itemization. Like, as the game goes on, that parity and gold will matter a little bit less. Especially since it's not super disparate right now. We got a team fight going. Chicken Thuggies wants to stun up Gank. Pingu, who will just be the sacrificial lamb here for the Silvermanes and will be the first to drop there. Yeah, just an unfortunate mispositioning. Wanted to try and find a little bit of vision, maybe see if they could pick somebody from the side of BBC, but weren't really able to do it. So Silvermanes are going to end up paying. They have to sacrifice the support as tax. That's just the price you pay for being a little adventurous sometimes. And Big Bird Club, they're being really, really aggressive in how they're handling this vision and how they're being proactive in denying the vision from Silvermanes. I think is really important. Like, that vision placement is often the difference between life or death. The most important resource in League of Legends is information. Like, yeah, gold's important, experience is important, items are important, but information is key. And wherever you can deny information to your opponents while maintaining your own ability to get more, I think that's the biggest difference between teams that are able to win consistently and not. And right now, BBC, they're playing with a lot more information. They're being very proactive in making sure that Silvermanes isn't comfortable anywhere across the map. They're being proactive in setting up weird angles, too, where they're not in always these expected spots. And I think as long as they continue to do that, they'll kind of keep Silvermanes on the back foot. For Silvermane's part of things, what I'd like to see them do is start to potentially look for some different angles. It looked like Sunny Waffle's back was going to be potentially stopped there, but they do know it was recalled. And Save the Fish is not going to be in any danger from the cage. It's going to get momentarily locked up by Dark Pinu. Proto Bell forward from Lucid. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Inbred may have been off a little bit more than he could choose. Save the Fishes, going to run down Dark Pinu. Inbred Loser just trying to buy a little bit of time, trying to stall. They will be able to do so. Sunny Waffle on the backside of this. Dies before he can get the ult. And now Save the Fishes going to look for another kill of his own. Going to chase underneath the turret, at least momentarily, but will walk out. And potential Baron call here. They're pinging down onto this. They know that it's too strong on the bot side. Insensate and Polaris not going to be able to respond to this. No vision for them to teleport to. Neither can get there, so this will just be a trade of Baron for turret. This isn't going to be a fast Baron take, but there is going to be no response from BBC. So fantastic, or sorry, no response from Silvermane. So fantastic play by BBC to go ahead and get a couple kills and translate that into pressure. And CFIL, he is going to be called to respond to these guys pushing on the bot side. Yeah, BBC, you're going to be happy with that play. You got a couple kills. You got Baron. Hard to feel that you didn't win in that trade. And this is going to be yet another pressure point that Silvermane's going to have to respond to. The Lucid will manage to trade for that mid turret. And we're starting to see kind of the dangers of what we had highlighted in that drafting phase, where BBC's comp really is just incredibly strong in these team fighting situations. Has a tremendous amount of damage. Has a very easy setup. No. And right now, Silvermanes have not really had a chance to respond. Save the Fish is going very, very deep on that Herald to get out. He's going to pop his ultimate, but will just die. Shutdown given over to Lucid. What else can they get? And since it wants to flash forward to get a little bit more, is going to get this on the top of CFIL. Is this going to be their response? Are they going to be able to counter this Baron play by just straight up killing the members of BBC? CFIL going to land the stun. Will start to get out. Pouring on the damage. Ultimate's going to come out now. Is it going to kill anybody just yet? Is it's going to time out after all the shots are used? And CFIL just buying a little bit of space, a little bit of time, but effectively that's going to be the Baron nullify for BBC. It looked like they were going to be able to do quite a bit more with it, especially with the tempo they had on the map. But Insensate doing a great job to capitalize on Save the Fishes being way too far forward. Polaris, they need to get the hell to dodge. Has the Spirit's Refuge for a minute. Can dash over the wall here in a second. Is trading fairly effectively through the Dominus, but will just choose to walk out. And Inbred Loser a little bit worse for wear. Will just back off. So Ocean Dragon has spawned. This could be potential Ocean Soul here for BBC. As long as they'll start to drop members. Chicken Thuggy manages to live by the hair on his chin. Now Dimps is dead. Lucid next on the menu. Can't really take the blast cone. Only gets further into his enemy's jungle. Now he's got to get the hell out of dodge. Now BBC, this is looking really good for them. They got the pick they wanted. No ADC means the job gets a whole lot easier. Damage source still gone, but Insensate doesn't have Smite just yet. Will be coming up here shortly. Or no, sorry, does have Smite. I was looking at the wrong ability. Could potentially look to try and get over the wall. Silvermanes, though, they really don't want to have to let this go, but they may be given no other options. It's just 5 strong here for the side of BBC. They will collect this dragon, and yeah, that's going to be an uncontested Ocean Soul going to them. Massive win. Oh, that's got to feel good. You love to have the passive regeneration that comes from Ocean Soul, and that's really going to help them with the poke that Silvermanes have right now. It's going to be able to help them mitigate the poke from the Vigar and from the Karma and from the Caitlyn, most importantly. They'll keep them healthy in these long team fights, but now they've got to find a way to start to add some of this pressure across the lane, because the Baron that they did get was effectively nullified, and that is going to just start to fall off here in the next 18 seconds. As you can see on the top right of your screen, and between the little tower icon and BBC's tricode, you can see that the Baron timer is about to spawn off, so 10 seconds. BBC just trying to pressure posture aggressively here. It's gonna be save the fishes. Trying to get out of there. Full team fight though. Commit now. Dumps is the next to go. Dark Pengu to follow Polaris. Trying to buy a little bit of space, but yeah, nothing that he can do there. And Simpson on the backside just trying to do anything he can to KO, save the fishes, but not even able to do so. Triple kill for CFIL. Inbred picks up a kill towards that top side. Polaris surely the next on the menu. And that is a full quadra kill for CFIL. A massive team fight win for BBC. And they are fully and totally in control of that game. Massive team fight for them, as we're going to get able to see that on the replay. Again, so much going on there. Second, we're going to get a chance to break it down as it's the death typer Sumer long. BBC going to be able to push this through. Not long enough where they can end the game, but they will certainly be getting an inhibitor. And as they do that, we're going to watch this whole wonderful replay. So you can see towards the top side. So I think Pengu just trying to passively get the change. Get out of there. But the team fight though, flash now, dashes straight on in. Dark Pengu to follow Polaris, trying to buy a little bit of space, but yeah, nothing that he can do there. Is no on the backside, just trying to do anything he can to KO, save the fishes, but not able to do so. Triple kill for CFIL. Inbred picks up a kill towards that top side. Polaris surely the next on the menu. And that is a full quadra kill for CFIL. A massive team fight win for BBC. And they are fully and totally in control of that game, and is heavily punished for it. And now if you're Silvermanes, you're going to have to start to worry about even trying to maintain any life stay in this game, because it is a massive gold difference. 5k gold for the side of BBC. Next dragon potentially would be theirs. Obviously having access to the soul keeps them very healthy, which we saw in that fight. That Ocean Soul keeping them incredibly healthy. And so now, for Silvermanes, if you want any chance in staying in this thing, it's about stemming the bleeding. It's about just creating a bucket list of all the things that you are comfortable losing. Like, what jungle camps do you absolutely have to have? I would say none of them. I would say for them, it's like you're going to be comfortable giving out all the other outer towers, all of your jungle camps, and just passively farming up any waves that are coming into the base to just try and get any sort of available space in time to continue to scale, because Caitlyn is still a massive damage threat once she can get her full build online, but that is still a ways away, and obviously doesn't feel very good right now. Oops, I think this Fog of War is not correct. I changed the key bindings to not do that. Unbind. Save. Oh! Speaking of binding, Inbred got bound up there by the Karma and is now dead. The one of the rare instances where the Renekton was standing somewhere he wasn't supposed to be, and even though the river is the natural habitat of the crocodile, when it's filled with tons of poachers, you can't stand there. And so he was in fact turned to a pair of nice shoes. But Insensate, if he's not careful, might be turned into a nice fur coat. As BBC looking to respond, they want to try and find something. Lucid flash out. Forced to use the Summoner Dimps, already lost a quarter of his health. Now trying to find what else he can do. And Insensate trying to get to the top of all three of them, but is going to be forced to walk out. Save the fishes here. Now double flash as it was a temporary taunt onto two people, but the health bars are just so low. And now with CFIL putting in his own damage, and Insensate just trying to find any part of the map that wasn't warded. He's going to go down. Another triple kill for the BBC mid laner. Polaris the next to fall. It's the second quadra kill of the game for CFIL, and the BBC mid laner is absolutely dominating. That surely is going to be the end of the game. CFIL teleporting the mid laner. Wants to say, I just want to end this game right now. A massive job for him in that team fight. And unfortunately, we may not be able to do the replay because the game's going to end a little too soon. He wants to make it hurt even a little bit more. Wants to get the penta from Dank Pengu, but Dank Pengu doesn't want to give it to him. Says, you want this penta kill, you're going to have to come into there. Are they going to give it to him? They're towering. putting into the fountain. They want to try and give Dark Pengu. He's going to eat the turret just a little bit more. Will he be able to get a CFIL? Trying to pass me, do the damage. No, can't do it. One drop, smooth turret destroyed. The Nexus going to go down. CFIL denied the Penta, but he'll be happy with a double quadra, and he'll be happy with the first win of the series. So the bans on the board, Ambessa, Darius, Syndra take it off the board for Big Bird Club, and Big Bird Club, they responded by taking away the Twitch and the Pike. And the draft's coming in fast now. Nami Corki, Victor, Leona. That Corki, while technically being a flex, could go bot lane, could go mid lane. I fully expected, I think, probably to go to the bot lane. I think that's probably where it's been strongest for a while, unless they see something different mid lane. Could still be a flex, though, if they decide that they want to get a better or different matchup in the bot side. Zaheen is going to be the pick there for Big Bird Club. That can go both top and jungle. Interested to see where they'll put that. They have tremendous amount of draft flexibility there with that, so they don't necessarily have to commit one way or the other. What will the final selection be for Silvermanes? Will they pick an ADC here, or will they potentially try and pick a jungler? To see what they'll go with. There's a lot of options available for them if they do want to go jungle, but Malphite can be the selection there, so that signals to me that it's going top side. Now the next round of bans, Silas, I think that makes sense. You don't want anything being able to play into your team as well. It's a great mid lane takeaway, especially being able to take away from Big Birds in particular, just because of how dangerous that champion is. Like, being able to steal any of the ults that Silvermane has on that side right now would be fairly devastating. It's kind of just free playmaking, so they want to deny that as much as possible. The Swain ban being hovered here right now and locked in, so denying that both in the mid and as a support. And what will Silvermane's final ban, and potentially the final ban of the series, be? Remember, it is only a best of 3, so Big Bird Club are technically on match point. Not sure what they'll want to take away here. They may continue to try and pinch that mid pool, which would signal that they don't believe that Corki is going to go towards the mid lane. Diana going to be taken away. It's both a jungle and mid lane threat. So they want to protect that Victor even further from any additional extra dive. The Big Bird Club will have the final say in this ban phase. They can look to try and pitch the ADC pool a little bit. Maybe potentially take away some more of those ADs if they believe that the Cork is going to go down there. So Xayah, Jinx would be great takeaways. Aphelios would also be a great takeaway. Misfortune, great ban. But no, they are going to pinch the jungle pool just a little bit more and ban away the Wukong. Silvermanes choosing instead this time to go on to the red side. They want their turn with the winning side. So far, I like what the individual pieces that these guys have put together. I really like Silvermane's draft right now between the Victor, the Leona, the Malphite. Tremendous amount of team fighting, and Xayah. Yep, I think a great pick. Tremendous amount of safety with that ADC. A lot of damage, a lot of playmaking capabilities. And very, very good when paired with Leona as well. Just makes that landing phase so much easier. Obviously, they'll have to contend with the passive healing that Nami's going to have. And so the sustaining that lane, potentially as long as the Big Bird Club are managing that mana well, should be fine. As Cho'Gath going to be the pickup in the top lane there. So Zaheen is going to be confirmed to be going jungle. Now this is where things could get fun. Big Bird Club do technically have options. They could still flex that Corki to the mid lane and get an interesting matchup into the Xayah. There are a number of really good champions that would be great against Xayah. Just kind of off of my head. I mean, obviously, since the Silver was taken away the last time, but Jinx would be a great answer to it. Misfortune would also be a great pick into the Xayah. But nope, they are going to confirm that Corki in the bot lane, pick up the Kassadin, give them some more magic threat. I love that pick, especially in adventure. Oh, okay. Silvermanes have decided that they are going to throw down the gauntlet and answer the Cho'Gath with a Garen of their own. Love that pick, by the way, with the spin to win damage on top of Cho'Gath, plus the passive silence that you put on top of him. He can't really trade effectively. Interesting team fighting capabilities for Silvermanes. That top lane matchup, potentially very, very volatile. Big Bird Club, they are on match point technically, but anything can happen. A full best of 3 series. It's anybody's game still, and with the draft that Silvermane's put together, they've got themselves in a really, really good position to tie the series up.
Minions have spawned.
Do they want to look for an early level 1 here? Lucy going to be stepping forward. They want to see what they can get. Save the fishes. Just going to do some passive damage. Get a little bit of ebb and flow onto him. Was forced to burn the ghost, and we'll just be walking out of there. But is forced to burn a summoner. But double mobility summons means that he's not vulnerable necessarily in that mid lane, has the ability to run away. And most importantly, I think he's doing a good job in understanding what his potential weakness against Caston is. You know, traditionally, one of the things in late game is it's difficult to get away from Caston, to protect yourself and protect your backliners from him. So recognizing that he needs to have the ability to get out of dodge, to dodge a lot of the damage that Caston's going to put in, and to just get to safety. Like, the closer you can get to a tank and to your support, the better off that you will potentially be. And so, excited to see how he'll be able to execute on that. And that early pressure that we talked about from the bot side, Sunny Waffles, Chicken Thuggy, wasting absolutely no time in getting going there. And just starting to push out the bot lane of Silvermane's. Again, kind of similar to what we saw in the last game, but in reverse, where Silvermane's had the pushing bot lane, but then weren't able really to capitalize on it too much. They had that one dive from his Sunset that went fairly well, but then outside of that, it was just they never really saw much more pressure down there until the turret went down. They did get first turret gold, and that felt great, but in this game, I feel it's going to be difficult for Silvermanes to get that going again, especially with just the innate pressure that big red clubs have down there, so keep an eye on that. As Polaris going to get the Conqueror stacked. Is already losing the majority of his health bar, though. Inbred. Again, this is the second time I've been made a liar about health bars with top lane matchups. Is, you know, Garen's supposed to have the early pressure and just, you know, put the hurt on Cho'Gath, and well, Inbred's decided that's not how I play my Cho'Gath, and I like it when people die when I play my Cho'Gath. So that's exactly what he's gonna do. So already putting pressure on top of Polaris in that top side. This is kind of one of those things, like, if you're starting to lose this matchup early, it becomes very difficult as the Garen. I think because the one thing you don't want is Cho'Gath getting any sort of early stacks and winning that 1v1, especially if he can get his early champion stacks. Our Pingu went in, but this should just be a little bit of a pick and a poke and a prod, and he will just walk out of there, level up for Chicken Thuggy and Sunny Waffle. And their health bars are in a much better state. Chicken Thuggy doing a great job managing the mana, not getting too crazy, you know, rapidly throwing out spells. Want to make sure that they have permanent priority in that lane. And the best way to do that is to make sure that you have more mana than your opponent. And I think we're going to expect to see Chicken Thuggy be very, very disciplined with the mana usage and continue to keep that pressure. And that's one of those things, like, if Leona can't consistently find the hooks, well, I say the hooks, but if they can't find the blades to connect on to multiple people, then it becomes difficult trying to win that trade until you get to a point where you're team fighting. And so I think as long as BBC are aware of that, you know, they can kind of just continue to passively win the game. Save the fishes. Is going to get momentarily stunned up. Is going to lose about half his health bar. Lucid wants to trade a little bit more. Flash forward from Insensate. One more auto would do it, but Flash for Flash manages to get underneath the tower. A lot expended, though. Sif-Il going to be pushed underneath the turret as well. An exchange of summoners, but nobody dies just yet. And as I misspoke, Sif-Il actually managed to hold onto his Flash, so we'll have that summoner. And we'll potentially have the teleport to come back to lane as well as soon as he pushes out the wave. Dimps, meanwhile, getting passively drawn out. Valkyrie forward. That's aggressive. Stun on top of Sunny. Presses his barrier as well. Trade for trade. First blood, though, for Chicken Thuggy. Didn't want it to go. The fish gets the wish. As first blood for BBC yet again. Fantastic flash forward there, as we'll get to see that in the replay. As it looked like he was able to get out. Polaris, though, wants to flash forward. One more auto would do it, but Inbred manages to get away. Is going to go ahead and take them back and teleport back to that top side. It's a close thing in some of these exchanges, but BBC, they don't want to give anything back right now if they can avoid it. As we get back into a replay of that. Hopefully the sound is not playing again over the second time. But you see, towards that bot side, the trade was getting very, very aggressive for them. Sunny looked like he was eventually going to get a lot of damage down on top of Dimps, and like Dimps may be the first one to go down. And eventually does, but that barrier buys him quite a bit of time. Trains it back on the Sunny Waffle, who gets ignited. But Chicken Thug, you can see it. Flash forward. That Q, the W, manages to get it on top of Silvermane's ADC. And that's the first blood. You got to feel really happy about that if you're BBC. The first dragon in the game is yet again going to be an Infernal Dragon. Interesting that we've had an Infernal Dragon start 2 games in a row. I'm not sure what the statistical likelihood of that is, but regardless, if you're BBC, if you can get access to the early dragon, that'll feel good. And passively right now, gold advantages everywhere across the map for BBC. Just a little bit here and there. Obviously, in the top side, it's even way more pronounced. It's 44 to 28 CS. In the mid lane, it's kind of to parity. Sif-Il, he's really not in too much danger here. Delivers Dank Pengu straight into the waiting arms of Save the Fishes. Sif-Il, though, again, just going to continue to ulti out of here. That ult is expensive for the early game, but as he continues to build his mana items and just itemized just really in general. He should continue to be spaced. I don't think either team can try and take the dragon right here. It would be very, very daring for either to try just because there's not a tremendous amount of damage on either side, so neither take it very, very quickly. Malphite certainly does not take it quickly. Zakine, at this point, only with the Sheen in his pocket, doesn't take it quickly either. We'll need a little bit more time if he were just to try and solo it. But even as I say that, though, BBC look like they want to try and start it. Leona's going to come over and face check this so they know that BBC's doing it. Pink's coming down now, 1,700 health. Once it gets to that 600 range, the jungler's first potential smite fight. This is where the team fight begins to go, though. The blue team's going to manage to get it. BBC can walk away with the dragon. They get their first kill, but it's traded back. Xayah on the board now. Sunny Waffle wants to try and get out. Castan manages to teleport away. Flash and the Zenith Blade not going to connect. A kill on the dragon for BBC. They're going to be very, very happy with that play. They trade something for it, but aggressive positioning gets them the objective. I get to press the replay button again. We're going to see that fight all over again. As it starts with Inbred. He was just passively doing stuff on the top side. You see in the bottom side of the right hand on the minimap there, you see where they're kind of clustered up, and then the camera will go down there. It'll show just how really clumped together they were in terms of get this drag. So 1,700 health. This is the call. Like, hey, we need to focus this dragon down. Jungler's not in range yet. We can passively stall this. Does get bubbled up, and he's able to get it. Then blue team, they managed to get it. Sorry, BBC gets it. They followed up immediately with 2 kills. And then it looks like there for a minute that Silvermane could be able to get something done and trade back for it. But no, the summoner's advantage. But we're going to get back in game because it's another fight at the top side. Save the Fishes and Polaris end up fighting. The Polaris comes away with the kill there. This is the difficulty with not having, like, any sort of... Well, I say not the difficulty. This is the nice thing about not having any delays. You get to see stuff right as it happens. But also, the camera's just kind of bugging out a lot of times, like, trying to figure out where it wants to go. CFIL going to manage to protect the blue buff there and manages to walk away with that one. So, again, feel not too bad about that. And great for him, too, as well, on that mid lane, just having to sustain to continue to put the poke out. But I want to highlight in that fight the Silvermanes, it did look like they were going to be able to walk away with a couple more kills, but BBC, with their ability, with the access to their summoner spells, you know, obviously the Flash gets them to safety, Castan having access to that teleport, that blink forward keeps him safe. And so we're able to kind of mitigate any of the worst of that trade. And it'll feel good to get that passive dragon stacking started. Polaris, though, just trying to passively get some damage onto Inbred, but it's a lot harder to do when the Cho'Gath already has a Giant's Belt, a shield, and 2 Ruby Crystals. Just looking to try, though. Conqueror is stacked, but that's not a whole lot. Is going to get knocked up. Inbred does have access, not have access to his ult, rather. Is going to continue to put damage to the Q. Polaris forced to walk out. As one of those micro changes, by the way, that I want to point out is the patch notes. Garen's passive speed to get out of things was increased a little bit. Knockup going to go down onto Incense. And yep, that's just going to be all it takes to dissuade him from any further ganks. Did have access to the ultimate, so could have... No, did not have access to the ultimate, so could have looked at something there. But the consolation prize will be that they can go get these Krugs. The Krugs. My god, the Grubs. It is definitely the first cast of the day. So they will be able to at least trade for that objective and start to get some of the passive push going if they can get access to the towers. And start to pick up some of these plates as well, which I feel really good. CFIL should be fine. Just gonna blink over the wall. Does not want to get stunned up with a Malphite waiting in the wings, potentially, and with the Leona there. And they will just start to make their way towards that bot side. Recall's just going to come through. And after a little bit of punching each other in the face, everyone just agrees to passively part the ways. This bot side matchup, right now I can tell, just based kind of on where the CS is at with everything, even though it is 1 kill in the pocket of Derpies. Zenzik going to lash forward. That's going to be the ultimate thrown down on top of him. BBC Jungle dead. In his own side of the jungle, didn't have access to level 6, didn't have access to the ultimate, and will just be punished for that in the end. No, did he? He had access to the ultimate. Interesting. I'm not sure why he didn't pop that then, if it was available. Or maybe it just now came. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at that replay to figure out why ult was not popped there, because he did. I think he had, or maybe it was off cooldown, just barely. Maybe that's why he didn't have access to it. I couldn't see it at the time. But either way, I don't think he would have been able to actually activate it because Polaris had him silenced with that passive spin, so wouldn't have been able to do anything anyways. And so that's the one thing that's going to start to hurt, I think, for him, is the fact that we would have expected Zakine to kind of be well ahead in this matchup. We would have expected Save the Fishes to be in a little bit better of a position, especially playing the higher damage jungler, but And since it, credit where credit's due, he's been out farming Zaheen, he's been out farming Save the Fishes, and he's been very, very active across the map and trying to make his presence felt. And 3 deaths for Save the Fishes is not going to feel very good right now. Yes, did get the dragon earlier, but it's still not going to feel the greatest individually, so he'll have to have a little bit more time as jungle farming up to really feel like he's going to be able to reach parity with a Malphite. This game just slowing down a little bit right now. There's really not too much to play for. Herald in about 4 minutes time. Dragon here in 20 seconds, but neither team really posturing too heavy like they want to get it. I think for Silvermanes, because I think they're maybe in a little bit of a stronger spot right now, I'd like to see them start to aggressively play for vision, start to try and set things up. They have some decent wards kind of more shallow over the back of the Dragon Wall, where they can see some of the movement from BBC's jungler. But doesn't necessarily give them everything they want to know. Flash forward from Dink Pingu. Sunny Waffle able to get out. Solar Flare going to hit absolutely nobody. Wave over the top. Now Dink Pingu going to have to walk his way out of this one. So he wants to get going. Dark Pingu momentarily knocked up and Sensen doesn't have actually ultimate yet. Ultimate from Save the Fishes, but he goes down. Lucid silenced and killed him with the ultimate. And now they have to walk out of this one. The Dragon going to go Silvermane's ways. They are doing a really good job in answering for game 1. They are executing on their game plan. And even though it's a little bit early to call it, I'm smelling a potential game 3 because they're doing exactly what they need to do to get back in the series. And Inbred and CFIL not able to trade much for that. They're not able to get any passive turret plates just yet. As that Ocean Drake is going to go to their pocket. It is Cloud Drake next. So it will be a Cloud Drake Soul. As Lucid and Polaris are going to go ahead and passively siege down onto this mid lane turret. Know that they're not under too much danger for CFIL as long as there's 2 of them there. Save the Fishes. You don't win this fight, my friend. This is a fight you don't want to take. Ping's coming down. Smite to try and get a slow. CFIL wants to get forward. Lucid just trying to buy a little bit of space. Wants to help his top laner get out of there. Not much to do about that one. They have no idea that Dems... Oh, no! Dems left right as Dang Pig was going to get killed on. They're probably going to be able to kill him down. Sunny Waffle wants to try and get something going. Rocket does it. They pick up a kill on the bot side. Oh, you hate to see it. Dems thought surely his support was going to be able to walk out of that one, or he was caught shopping. And yeah, will end up trading his support for the back. That's not a very good trade. Would like to see Dems maybe be a little bit more communicative with his support. Hey, are you okay? Do I need to stop my back? But clearly just wanted to complete that recall and ends up sacrificing the Leona to do so. So a little bit of a trade back for the side of BBC. And the gold, again, still technically in their favor. Just they've had plenty of time to get some of these turret plates. So 6 apiece for them. But just kind of passively the gold has been sort of a parity. Zenbred just slowly trying to get stacking going. As he has 5 already, which means he's consumed about 5 minions. I don't think he's consumed any players. Bubble for Dems. He goes into the ultimate to avoid that. The Feather Call going to make sure that he does not get stunned up. But that is the Summoner blown. That's a team fighting capability blown, and it means he's going to further lose out on minions, further lose out on XP. And those waves going to be shoved underneath the tower. So BBC, even though they've been behind on some of these fights and some of these individual picks, they still have quite a bit of pressure, and they're still making their presence felt kind of across the map and still winning in some of these individual moments. And Sunny Waffle and Chicken Thug have been doing a great job in applying pressure in that bot side. It's 132 S, 132 CC, my goodness, first cast today. 132 CS to 99 CS. So definitely huge disparity there. There's a tremendous amount of gold to be down if you are the Xayah. The Corki already has the Trinity Force completed, plus the Boots is working on completing second item. And right now, still slow, passive play. Neither team really trying to get involved in too many heavy team fights. It's just been kind of individual skirmishes once. Oh, does Inbred, does he check this? Yes, he does. Yeah, it's going to do silence players, prevent him from backing. And we'll just continue to put pressure on that top side. Has very good control of the wave, and has kind of shown that through the first game as well, just where he had passive control of that lane. Save the Fishes, though, gets over Dank Pengu. May have been a little bit more he can get off. Solar Flare going to buy just a little bit of time. Drapes wants to do something, does manage to kill the jungler. Now everyone else has to walk out. And BBC, they may have been off of quite a bit more than they could chew. Wave to buy a little bit of space. And since it doesn't have access to the ultimate, so there will be no follow-up bubbled. But the stun from Dark Pengu is going to be able to follow up on that. Dimps gets a second kill. He's on a killing spree. Flash forward for CFIL. Wants to get Dimps. Dimps doesn't have access to the ultimate. He gets chomped. And now Inbred wants to see what else he can get done. Polaris is going to be here. Gets on top of CFIL. The ultimate not going to kill him just yet. CFIL managing to get out of there. Save the Pingu. Wants to follow just a little bit further. The very long attendance team fight. Still going Silvermane's way. And Inbred, he's going to be the next victim of the solar, or not the solar flare, of the stasis field. Lucid, 2-0-1 on the Victor. Very, very happy to walk away with that kill. And the long fights. Every time it seems like BBC are going to get something in this game, Silvermane's manages to find a way to respond. They're going to be able to deny this Herald, save the fishes, his respond, but Shirley has no way to get in there. He wants to harass and poke, but I think just has to give it up. Really no way for him to get into that Herald pit and potentially steal that away. I think if you're Big Bird Club right now, I think what you need to try to do is find a way to slow down this game. I think you just want to have opportunities for your players to kind of passively scale. The CFIL is really not in a great spot. He is going to be able to blink out into the bush, but Shirley will just flop here. Lucid staying ahead of him. One more Q does it. He's on a killing spree. 3-0-1 is the victor. Herald in the mid lane. Things go from bad to worse for the Big Bird Club. That Herald's going to slam directly into the mid tower. We're going to knock that one down, and Waffle and Chicken Thuggy are there in time just to see it fall down. Let's see if Polaris can pilot this the way he wants us to. He's going to try and take this towards the bot side. He will be able to get it to the lane, but I don't think necessarily he'll be able to get the full charge. But this surely will be a second turret going down. Save the Fishes wants to try and get something done here, but not much of a chance of that. Can just smite the Herald to prevent to get the charge going off. And yes, it will not get the second charge. Dragon spawning now. Silver remains perfectly positioned to take this objective. Dark Pingu doing a pretty good job in denying some of these vision and poshing aggressively. It's very intimidating, I think, for anybody. Even if the support isn't super high level or has like any great items, just the fact that he's there in front of that Dragon Pit prevents them from being able to make any egress there, and it kind of just makes you think twice about trying to, potentially make a Dragon steal. So that will be the second Dragon for Silver Mains as they look to potentially get an early Cloud Soul. Polaris, though, farming up at that top side, getting that plate gold. And that individual gold going on top of the Cho'Gath, not the worst either. Needs to be careful. He's going to get stunned up, especially underneath the turret. He's going to take some damage, but can't just walk out. Oh, never mind. May not be able to do that. Dark Pengu. Maybe throw that on top, as well as the ult from the Victor should surely lock him down. Lucid is on a rampage. The Silvermaid's mid laner, making his presence felt in this series, and answering the questions from last game. So far, Silvermains, they are proving that they are here to contend and not just to participate. The Polaris may be the next to go down. Shutdown given over to the Sakine. CFIL going to be the trade there, though, in that bot side. And even though members are dropping across the board, Silvermain's still staying ahead. They're in a fantastic position. Two dragons to their name, probably soon to be three based on the way this pacing is going. They'll have early access to the Baron. They got all the grubs. They got all of... They got the Herald. Oh, Demps. That's not how we want to do that, buddy. You don't want to get killed underneath the turret like that. It's a little embarrassing. It's a little bit of an overforce there, and Sunny Waffle will be happy to take the free donation of kill gold, but I think ultimately right now doesn't mean a whole lot because there's nothing else happening across the map. So yeah, it sucks that Demps gave away that kill, but ultimately not the most influential thing. It's not like there was anything serious happen. It's not like there was a Baron happening or a Dragon being taken. It's just a small mistake, but he can correct it by not doing it again. For Big Bird Club now, I think the big thing is they need to try and slow this game down. They really do. It's just right now, Silvermains, they're getting everything they want in terms of their scaling champions are really, really far ahead with kills and with items. Garen is going to continue to be able to answer to some degree. The Cho'Gath, I still think there's a period where the Cho'Gath will not be answered by Garen and he'll need help. But really, you don't need Garen to kind of stop Cho'Gath. Garen's there more to put passive damage onto the squishier members of Big Bird Club's comp. And then also just silence the damage dealers to make sure that they can't really do anything. BBC, they need time. They need time for Sunny Waffle to continue to stack items. They need time for CFIL to sort of make up some of this difference. Has no kills yet on this casting. You'd like to see him start to get some of that going. Start seeing him become that diving threat that I think BBC have always wanted him to be with his comp. But it's going to be some time for that to happen. And meanwhile, they're just across the board. They're kind of down in gold. It's a top lane deficit. It's Polaris, 1k gold there. But then about 2.5, almost 3,000 gold passively for everybody else. The big difference is 1.8 in that mid lane 4 kills for Lucid on that Victor's going to feel really good right now. Or not, yeah, on the Victor. Right now, it's all about patience. For Silvermanes, it's just about them keep doing, for the, my goodness, first cast of the day. For Silvermanes, it's about them continuing to do what they've been doing, which is just passively play this out. You know you've got scaling between Lucid, between Demps. You know that you've got plenty of ways to win this game. Your damage dealers are all online right now. You're not super worried about anything. They can go paying his bot laner the respect he was not paid and stopping his back as soon as anything happened. But I think if you're Silvermage, you can just kind of continue to do what you've been doing this whole time. Knock him on top of Instant. That's going to be the ultimate way to save the fishes. What else can they start to do? This is the first full-fledged team fight that they've been able to get potentially on their terms, but nothing will happen because Dents is going to slay him. It's a retrained turn for the Caston, though. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, the Victor slays the fish, gets him a little bit of sushi. It's a double kill because he adds the Corky on top of that. Now CFIL, oh, he bounced off the wall. That's not what you want to do. One more Q would do it. The Zenith Blade misses. He gets out with his life, but he's lucky to even walk away with that. It's another team fight win for Silvermanes. They lose their jungler, but they get a whole lot for it. They get 3 in return. They've got position over this dragon. This is absolutely going to be theirs. This will move them this whole point. They're going to knock down this mid lane turret. And Twitch chat, ladies and gentlemen, this may be the game that Silvermanes needed to even up this series. I'm smelling a best of 3. Certainly Silvermanes wants to make that happen. Question is, can they do it? And right now, much not going the way for Big Bird Club right now. They really haven't been able to get any success going. And anything that they've wanted to do. Finally casting on the board, but it's a little much too late. For that, is now they're going to pass again on this dragon. Big Bird Club, they want to fight this. They want to see if they can get in and do something about it, but they may not be able to. Dragon at 2k health. Yeah, there's nothing they can do. They're just going to have to watch that get done. That means they're on drag point. They're going to have to absolutely fight the next one. Meanwhile, Baron going to be spawning. Or Baron has spawned, rather, excuse me. And Silvermanes, they can look to start to make their way over to that objective and start to set up vision for it. And right now, if you're BBC, you have to send everybody in pairs. You can't be going out on your own because of how strong Silvermanes is right now. The turret count's going to get evened up just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean not at all, because it's only the top lane turret going down. And I think a small point to make while we have a little bit of time, like the mid lane and bot lane turret being up for Silvermanes gives them a whole lot of safety and a tremendous amount of protection. That means you're essentially free to rotate through that part of the map without having to worry about where other people are positioned. Oh, Ping's coming down on top of Lucid. Is he a little too far forward? No turret to escape to. The only turret that's down is this one in this top side. Was potentially stunned up. They want to get the Devour on top again and shut it down. The ultimate not going to do too much for. That was the ultimate, sorry, the teleport committed by Polaris. This might be the team fight win that they need. Instance at trying to get on top of Chicken Thuggy. Wants to get out of there. Dimps very, very low. Has actually the ultimate, but he doesn't use it. Sunny Waffle, he gets that one. This might be the moment that BBC needs to get back into the game. Dark Pengo, he's going to be the next to fall. Baron's on the table. Wait, Silvermanes off of a pick in the top side are going to lose a whole lot more. Now Insensate, he's all on his lonesome. Polaris wants to see if he can get involved in this as well, but it's 4 strong here in this Baron pit. Polaris though can do quite a bit. They want to focus him. Gets on top of Zaheen. No more smite available. Now they want to try and get him instant. The Baron potentially stopped now. No smite available means that Insensate, if he dies here, that means they won't be able to contest this. They could still get it. Is going to drop. Ziphael going to help Inbred Loser get that one. They won't regress back onto the Baron. It looked like for a minute they were able to get that one, but in the end, they walk away with the kills. That was such a long team fight. We're going to go play the replay of that one. And so you see here towards this Baron, as they started to try and do it up the last 30 seconds, it didn't get the majority of the fight. But you can see Polaris there just trying to make it. He do it wants to try and get on top of Zaheen and managed to do so, but sacrifices his life for it. And essentially kind of just left all on his lonesome to get that one. I will probably need to set the replay buffer to be a little bit longer in order to accommodate for a potential long play like that. But yeah, so ultimately just kind of recapping the kills that were happening there. First time I've used this in a while, so it will be a little bit of a relearning curve. So sorry for those that wanted to see the beginning of that team fight. It was a long team fight. Maybe we'll get opportunity to retry that here in a second. And now BBC, they bought themselves a new lease on life with that fight. Walking away with a bunch of kills and not hardly trading anything in return was a big deal. They did lose Chicken Thuggy and save the fishes overall. in that extended team fight, but I think they walked away with quite a bit more for it. And most importantly, they got the shutdown gold that was sitting on top of Lucid. So they're going to be feeling really good about being able to pocket that extra gold and spend it, get that itemization back to where it needs to be. And then CFIL also starting to come online, has his second completed item, is going to be looking to try and rush his third. I'm not sure what he's going to build with that Call for Warhammer. That's the one part that I struggle with as a caster, is remembering which items build for specific builds for certain characters. Like when I see this Call for Warhammer, like legitimately I'm not sure what he's going to build with that. Because there hasn't been a tremendous amount of casting for a long time. It's only recently that we've seen casting starting to make a return. Not only like in other rec leagues, but also just in pro play. If you're Silvermane, you want to shake that one off. It was just, that was a bad pick. It was Lucid just slightly mispositioned in that top side. Didn't have the safety of the turret that we were talking about. Unlike in that mid and bot lane where you have the ability to kind of retreat to that structure. Wasn't really able to get away. Yes, he was able to get the ult down, but it wasn't really doing a tremendous amount. 3-on-3 here. Save the Fish is being fairly aggressive. Goes into the ultimate. Now has to walk out. 2 committed for not a whole lot. The health bar is minorly affected, but Silvermanes are able to walk away and take away some of those important abilities, at least temporarily. Dragon's going to be spawning in 50 seconds, so some of those ultimates will be sorely missed, at least at the potential beginning of the fight. Silvermane starting to position aggressively. Got some vision down. However, BBC, I think, have better vision placement right now. They're going to try and maintain that. They want to get this Dragon. They do not want Silvermanes to get this potential Cloud Soul, be able to run them down faster. They want to be able to prevent this objective going over, but it has been difficult. That's really the first 5v5 team fight that they've really had a chance at winning, and that was because they were positioned well and started off with a pick. They won't necessarily be given that opportunity now. Polaris has done a great job in shoving that wave through. About 15 seconds until this objective spawns. BBC would like to knock down that mid lane turret and then force Silvermanes to kind of respond to them and pull them off of that objective, but this does just look like potentially this might be the mid lane trade. Teleport in. The Dragon is only just now spawned. AK health. They want to try and rush this down before BBC can get in there. What are they going to be able to do? Dang Pingu, he's on the side. Potentially being picked, knocked up, but the Dragon is still going down. This might just be a trade of soul. They get it, but what else can they get? Are they going to be able to get out? Then Sensen is going to be able to slay the fishes over the top. And Sensen on the back line. It's a chaotic fight. People are dying left and right. Health bars down low. Dims manages to get just a little bit away. CFI wants to slay him, but he's living for so long. Manages to do it. Polaris and Lucid are the only ones left, along with Instone. What else can Inbred Lucid do? They got the soul. Chicken Thuggy trying to get out. Flash forward over the wall from Insensei. He gets a temporary bubbled up. Meanwhile, Inbred Loser on the backside of this one is left all to his lonesome. Let's just try and see what else he can trade for. Lucid just trying to put the Qs into this massive cho'gath that they won't be able to knock him down. But it should just be them walking away. Chicken Thuggy keeping him healthy. Knock up. No. Inbred says, I want to get all of this. Gets the silent on top of it. Gets the ultimate. He's down at the rampage. But Inbred has stayed for so long that the Garen has respawned. Will he have the movement speed to get him? Not going to be able to get him. Inbred, an extended team fight, gets something for it. But ultimately, it's still a overall team fight loss. And the Dragon Soul going over to Silvermanes. Let's see if we timed it better on that replay. No, we didn't. It's 30 seconds. All right, well, we're just going to leave that one alone. These team fights, these long team fights, we'll have to set it for longer because those team fights lasting so much longer. Fishes. My friend, that's not your jungle anymore. Manages to get the last cone away. The rest of his team is here, but his health bar in not so nice a spot. Inbred, though, showing that he has the ability to take a tremendous amount of damage in these fights, and they're starting to get closer to being on a razor's edge. That was, I mean, honestly, not a bad team fight for them. The fact that they even didn't get to start it off for the pick, so the fact that BBC's doing well enough in those team fights to make that equal was very good. CFIL doing a great job on top of getting onto Dimps, and most importantly now, for this potential Baron fight, no access to those summoners for this Aya, so super vulnerable if he gets picked, she gets picked out. Dimps gets picked out, rather. CFIL just wants to clear up this ward, doesn't want to potentially get flanked. BBC trying to position fairly aggressively to threaten this second mid-tier turret, tier 2 mid-turret. Ping's coming down. Corky nowhere in the wings right now. This is going down really, really quickly. Vision, 9,000 gold. Remember, it's basically a double smite. They can get the cho'gath into there. They can potentially steal it away. Will they be able to do it? Yes, they did! It's Baron stolen. Now what else can they do? They've got the Baron, but you got to do something with it. Multiple stuns for BBC. People dropping left and right. This may be their way back to win the game. Polaris trying to get the hell out of Dodge. BBC, they got the miracle they needed. They got the team fight that they needed. Polaris is surely the next to fall. Just wants to buy a little bit of time time, but that's going to be multiple members of BBC walking towards that bot side. Yes, Zaheen died for in the end, but you've got 4 alive with Baron. That's a massive team fight win. 4 dead for the side of Silvermanes. The BBC said, not so fast. You want back in this tournament? I don't think so. It's not going to be that simple. Surely now we can get the replay on that one. No, I mistimed it just a little bit more. I hate it, but you can see at the end of that team fight, managed to steal away the Baron and ends up dying ultimately to the Garen, but then they just immediately turned that around. It's quick team fight, silence, bubble, and knockups from the Cho'Gath, from the Nami, and then they just clean up. They clean house. Polaris just trying to buy a little bit of time running away. The only one survivor from that was Dank Pingu, but there's really nothing that he can do. And yeah, massive team fight win for BBC. That was exactly what they needed. And now the gold has swung massively in their favor. 5.5 thousand gold. And showing that soul didn't even matter. They're like, you can take that soul. You can keep it. You can't even do anything with it. And now we're starting to reach the point where the scales are tipping very, very precariously in BBC's favor because these fights are starting to not go their way. The survivability of BBC's composition, both with Zaheen, with CFIL, with Inbred Loser, just living so long in these fights, getting all of their abilities off, all the knockups, all the stuns, all the silences, all the bubbles, and proving a massive difference in this team fight. And Dimps, like in that fight, not having access to those summoners again was a critical part of that fight. Not being able to get away from all of the follow-up that was thrown at him made a massive world of difference. And now we're starting to see BBC posturing very, very aggressively in this lane and through the river, establishing the vision passive just to make sure that no one's going to try and flank them or anything. And then they're going to start to push out these waves. I expect several more minutes before really anything else explosive happens because they have to kind of group together in order to push this stuff out there. Don't have a lot of help. This is a 3v3 here, and Sunset Gas is forced to ult to get away. And Solar Flare thrown behind that just to give a little bit of coverage. So that's 2 big ultimates used right now. That should just free up BBC to go ahead and start pushing onto these lanes. Polaris on the top side with a fairly large wave. Just want to do something, but it's going to be answered by Inbred. And will prevent that Garen from being able to do anything there. That does mean, however, that Garen can rotate his way down there. And now the manpower has shifted. The fix and flux of this man advantage through these lanes. Constantly changing. Baron empowered minions going to make their way towards this tier 2 on the bot side. Dimps absolutely stunned up. That's what we talked about. All that CC makes it impossible for the Zai to live. Didn't even have a chance to press the ultimate button. Just deleted him off the face of the planet before he could get anything going. And now the cannon minions are going to start to put the damage in. Here comes the Cho'Gath, though. And to clear out that mid wave. Stasis field put down just to buy a little bit of space. But now they're going to have to back off because you've got a Cho'Gath starting to walk down the mid side. As that Baron buff has now officially expired off of BBC, so they're going to look to reset. And Silvermanes, they've got to find a way to start protecting their damage carriers. They've got to find a way to protect Dimps and protect Lucid. Give them time to shell out all this damage. Because it's not going to be quick team fights, especially with the health bars on the side of BBC. Teleport here into this lane. Elder Dragon in 1 minute. But they'd like to win a fight before that even happens. Double knockup onto the backside. Solar Flare really not hitting onto anybody. Zaheen gonna go into the passive. That's 1 dead already as the Garen is down. And Senseit goes on the backside trying to do anything, but he can't get anything done at all. As Senseit will surely be the next to fall. As Say the Fish is gonna get his double kill. Knock up there on top of Lucid. He's the next to fall. Dimps trying to go into the ult, trying to get anything done, but it's a double kill for Corki. CFIL I'm going to be very, very happy with his stasis in the game, and that surely is going to be the end of the series. The respawn timer is way too long. They're running down the mid lane. BBC, it looked rough in the early to mid game. They were not able to get everything they wanted going. But in these late game team fights, they have been absolutely on point, and the reward is going to be these Nexus Towers. The reward is going to be this game. That's going to put the final touches on this series. And BBC, they're going to be moving on to the upper bracket and continuing on, and they have won their first series of the tournament. As we are joined, ladies and gentlemen, by the victorious CFIL. How were you feeling?
Good, yeah. Touch and go there at the end, but I think the team did very well. So
yeah. So walk us through that game too, because that started off pretty rough. That was a drastic difference from game 1.
Yeah, I mean, we had a tough early game, specifically jungle mid side. So we really tried to isolate that risk and then concentrate on making sure the Corki was scaling. Towards the end, when I got a little more powerful in the Kassadin, and after that Baron take, it felt like we had the tempo to make some better calls. And and get more ahead. So really, it was a sit and wait until we were powerful enough to give it a shot,
Sure.
and then just flip the coin.
Yeah, that makes sense. So walk me through them, because there was kind of a progression where that early game, that sort of early to early mid game, really wasn't going O's way. In fact, there was like a 4 to like 11 kill difference at that point, and it seems like the Silvermane's like they're going to be able to respond in the series. The momentum's definitely in their favor, and then around that fourth dragon take, where y'all start to kind of fight that, which then eventually leads to the Baron take. Like, that's the first decisive team fight that y'all kind of win. Walk me through what the team comms were in that moment where y'all don't get the soul, but you walk away with a team fight win.
Yeah, we pretty much only prioritized fighting there. I know that Save the Fishes went for the steal, but the rest of the team was really focused on the team fight itself.
Sure.
We kind of sold the dragon and made sure that we were positioning to defend the carries. I think on that fight, I was in the back against the Victor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it exactly, but it was really helpful to get those isolated one-on-ones because Victor's the team fighting menace, but put up against the Cassin at level 16 or wherever I was, it became a lot more even despite the lead.
Sure. And then the team fight that follows up, that I think really puts you on a position of dominance where y'all absolutely just smoke the team fight, is that first fight around Baron where there's a lot of posturing. Did y'all feel that there was a massive difference in swing and tempo in the game at that point? Like the scales had shifted, or were y'all still fairly wary that y'all maybe weren't in control of the game?
The soul was definitely scary. I think for the couple minutes between the Baron and the Dragon, we were a little put on the off foot by them having Cloud Soul and the movement speed. But once we got situated and then our jungler took the Baron, that team fight was kind of, the Cho'Gath soaks the damage, the Corki stayed in the backline, and I also got the isolated 1v1 with the Victor again.
Sure.
And then, was able to just clean up at the end.
One final question about game 2. Were y'all worried at all about that Caston scaling? Because that was one of the things we noticed, that he was kind of under a tremendous amount of pressure from jungler proximity, and then just from team fighting where he wasn't really be able to get the kills, and he was having difficulty killing anybody on the backline. But then that slowly started to shift through the game. Did y'all have any concerns about that early on?
We definitely didn't voice it, but I was personally quite concerned about my efficiency compared to the Victor.
Sure.
It was very helpful to pick up a couple kills towards the mid-late, and then once the build started to get fleshed out, Cassidy, you can just sit and wait until you're level 16. And then if you have 4 items, you pretty much get equalized against anyone else despite gold difference. So that's Cassidy, I view it as an equalizer.
Sure.
And it certainly worked out that way.
Walk me through y'all's draft philosophy behind game 1 in terms of how y'all approached that, and what y'all's desire was in terms of translating that from draft to end game.
We tried to draft just a standard front to back. Without giving up too much of the scouting for the draft, we kind of predicted some of the picks that they would have and made sure we had tools that worked against it. And it was a lot of comfort picks for our team. We really just put people on champions that they were comfortable with, that we've played before, and made sure the first game was going well. And then the second game draft was a lot more reactive.
Gotcha.
Yep.
One final question before I let you go, because I know you're going to go chill out with your team before y'all have to potentially prepare for this next series, which we don't yet have the winner of because Baggy Pampers and Momentum are still playing one another. So the other question I had, I've noticed consistently the Mordekaiser ban. What's going on there?
The Mordekaiser ban. Did we? I don't think we banned Mordekaiser.
Well, the Mordekaiser ban that's against you guys. Like, explain the why that's getting banned.
I know our top laner has some experience on Mordekaiser, so that could be it. But I don't really have much insight into the reasons why they're banning it. For the other bans, there's a lot of consistency across our mains.
Sure.
So I think in that game, if they did ban it in the game 2, it was probably more of a situational ban, because Mordekaiser would have been definitely a good pick against their comp. I mean, if you mortal a Malphite, it kind of reduces them to nothing, right? So
sure. Awesome. Well, CFIL, thank you so much for taking the moment. Is that how you do that? Is it CFIL, or do you pronounce it like syphil, like syphilis?
CFIL is good.
CFIL?
Yep.
Okay, CFIL. All right, I will make sure to remember that. Thank you so
Not
much.
a problem.
Thank you much for stopping by to do the interview. Best of luck with the remainder of the tournament. Congratulations on making it through to the upper bracket part of that. Potentially you only have this one more series before you go straight to final. So I'm sure for you guys it'd be nice to not have to play on that lower bracket. But regardless, wishing you guys the best of luck, and hope to hear again from you soon today.
Appreciate it. Thanks for casting, and looking forward to the next match.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Take care.